Unexpected Journey is one of the most anticipated films of the year. In it, actor Richard Armitage takes on the role of Thorin Oakenshield, leader of a band of dwarves who hire hobbit Bilbo Baggins to help them reclaim their mountain home from a fire-breathing dragon. Richard joins us from our downtown Toronto studio. So good to have you with us.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So as I understand it, you had to undergo 6 weeks of dwarf boot camp. Tell us what happens in a dwarf boot camp.
Well, in the Dwarf boot camp, we actually wear giant boots, and according to Martin Freeman, it was also a bit camp. We spent a long time trying to change our physicality, so we worked with weight belts to keep our center of gravity low, because the physics of a dwarf, because they're not human, they're much wider, much heavier, and Peter Jackson wanted us to feel very much like warrior fighters rather than miniature people.
Isn't that interesting? Because you do play a dwarf, and dwarfs are taller than hobbits, but not as tall as men or wizards. Tell us how Peter shot around that, making people seem shorter than they are.
Well, he used a variety of techniques. He actually pioneered a new technique called slave motion control, where half of the actors were in a scale set. So the dwarves were in a set which was much bigger than usual, and someone like Ian McKellen would be on a green screen, and we'd work with earpieces and rehearse together, but then separate for the filming, and he overlays the image at the same time. But also there were many old-fashioned techniques, like we spent some time on our knees looking up into his face, and sometimes they put him on a platform so that we could actually act together. And I spent more time staring into the eyes of my fellow actors than I really expected, which was great.
What was your favorite part about playing Thorin?
I think there was one particular day on location where I was flown to the top of a mountain and left alone all day as my character with one or two fellow dwarves. It was a scene where Thorin is leading his people back to his homeland, and it was just such an amazing location, and I felt at one with my character all day, and it's very rare that you have those opportunities to feel so immersed in your character.
Of course. Now, speaking about being immersed, die-hard Hobbit fans, and there are millions and millions of them, were a little bit thrown by the fact that this one book is being made into 3 movies to be released over 3 years. Tell us about that. Have you been getting any flack from fans or hearing anything about that?
Well, you know, the thing is, I was quite surprised when they were going to divide it into 2. But in the making of the film, we realized that all of the characters that enter the story throughout this journey, and you don't get all of the characters at the beginning, they sort of join along the road, are so fascinating that Peter really wanted to give each of those characters space to breathe and to explore them and all of the different worlds which they inhabit. And actually it feels difficult to get it into even 3 films. The first film is so jam-packed with adventure and character, but in terms of flack from the fans, we've yet to see that, but I think they'll be thrilled with what they get.
You did see a lot of fans, though, in New Zealand, in Wellington, for the premiere. Tell us about that and this red carpet that was 600 meters long.
Yeah, and I was in my hotel room the night before watching this red carpet being rolled out, sort of getting incredibly nervous and quite emotional, because we'd spent 18 months in New Zealand, and many friendships were made, and all of those people had returned to be part of the day in Wellington, and to come to that city and give back the celebration to them was so amazing. And Neil Finn played a set. Neil Finn, who did the theme song for the first movie, he's the lead singer of Crowded House, and there was a Boeing 747 which had been painted with the hobbits flew low over the red carpet, and it was a real party event, and I think there were just hundreds of thousands of people celebrating this achievement that Peter Jackson had made.
Well, it sounds just amazing. I have to ask you, have you always been a fan of the books?
I read the book when I was 11 years old, and I was on stage in a production when I was about 13. I then became a fan of the Lord of the Rings book and then the trilogy, so to come and be part of The Hobbit is really a dream come true.
I've got to ask you, because I feel you've got kind of like an inside scoop here. Why don't we ever see any female dwarves in these movies?
You absolutely are. You do see female dwarves, and within the first 30 seconds of the film, you're going to see female dwarves, and they too have beards.
Oh, so they look
I
the same
think-
as men.
I think, yeah, that's going to be the new look for the spring season is going to be female beards.
I love it. So great talking to you. Best of luck and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Nice to talk to you.